Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bring you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. My name is Krishna Dhanai, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Bill Cupbush. Bill, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. You know what I've been doing recently?
What have you done?
I, I've been
Let me guess. Let me guess. Wrestling related.
yes.
Is it watching wrestling?
No, I'm reading mocks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude, this book is something else.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's like taking a dive into Mox's brain. It really is. I mean, I'll talk about it more when I finish the book, but
Yeah.
it's not chronological. It's
Oh,
just like, here's a story, here's another story, here's a segue into something else, here's something random, here's a story. It's so good, and his sense of humor is
mhm.
amazing. It's like
he
seriously just sitting listening to him talk at you for ages.
he is different. Like obviously we know wrestlers have their personas that they follow, but his actual personality is so much different than his in-ring personality.
To a point, to a point.
To a
I
certain,
mean,
yeah, to a
I
certain
think
extent.
his in ring takes aspects of his personality and just amplifies them, but it's still him.
Fair enough.
You know,
Fair enough. Oh,
the first CD he ever bought was Metallica's Master of Puppets.
oh, Mox is awesome.
He
And
he
and and
he he seriously is.
and you, as you know, as we were just talking before the show started, I am reading the Young Bucks killing the business,
Yep.
from backyards to big leagues. Fantastic book.
Yep.
If you like the Young Bucks, you'll probably love the Young Bucks after this book,
Hmm.
right? And if you love the Bucks, like you owe it to yourself to read their story because these guys did things that the wrestling world hadn't seen before.
Hmm.
Um, and they're like, but as I'm reading, they stick to their guns, right? Like
Hmm.
they don't try to do something that just because they're being forced to do it. Like yes, they follow the rules. If they're told to go out there and lose a match or whatever, they do it. But they stick to who they are, right? They are
Hmm.
the and I love the way they get their names and stuff like that, right? Like it's so crazy.
Yep.
They didn't even like the name the Young Bucks, and
I know.
it just stuck with them. That is
Got
as
stuck with
and the
it.
guy the promoter was like, I didn't even know your names, but every time we talked about you guys, just calling you guys the Young Bucks, like those Young Bucks. So your name's tonight is just Young Bucks, and
Right.
they stuck with it.
And then that announcer, I forget which announcer it was now, though, who actually thought their last names were Buck.
Buck,
It was like
yeah,
Matt and Nick
Matt
Buck.
Matt Nick Buck.
But
And then Finn Balor introducing them as Matt and Nick Buck when they went
mhm.
to New Japan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Pretty great, pretty great. Yeah, we will be talking extensively about this book once Krishna finishes it. I've
Yeah,
already finished it and moved on to Mox because I am a
Mox.
voracious reader, but this is true.
Apologies. I actually restarted it yesterday, and
Mhm.
that was my fault. And I just haven't been able to put it down. It's just such a good
I
read.
know that's the thing. I finished it like in a couple of days.
Such a good read.
Yeah,
I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and and of course, any mention of Kenny Omega, like come on,
right,
Kenny, this
right.
guy.
Well, do you think we'll be mentioning some Kenny Omega on our show today?
I don't think we have a choice but to mention Kenny Omega in today's show. I don't think we have
That's
a choice.
very true. So why don't we get into our topics of the week, shall we?
Let's do it.
So we do have some news to cover on because what we do on this is our weekly show where we're going to cover some news. We're going to have Krishna give us the AEW Roundup. We're going to look at my report from Japan, still called the Excursion Report, but I seem to be living there. We're going to look at our match of the week, wrestler of the week, that kind of stuff. We'll see
Yep.
if Dhanai has any dirt sheet for me this week. But to start it all off, we do have some news, and let's start with the crappy stuff and get it out of the way, shall we?
Cool.
Okay. Well, Vince McMahon, we don't normally talk about WWE on the show, but today we're going to talk about it a little bit. As all of you are probably aware at this point, Vince McMahon has forced his way back onto the WWE board of directors. He has changed the what do you call it? The operating procedures. I can't remember their particular name for it, but basically he now has to approve any sale of the
Yeah.
company or any TV deal for the company. He's dismissed some of the other board members, put back in a couple of his own people. We're not necessarily going to talk about the implications of this on the WWE, except insofar as they affect AEW and other wrestling companies.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I think it's worth pointing out that there was a Zoom call apparently with Stephanie McMahon and some of the talent. And in that call, she just stated it's business as usual. You've got nothing to worry about, that kind of thing. Whether that's true or not, I mean, it might be true today. Who knows about tomorrow? But again, what happens at WWE? I don't even watch it. I don't care. But what happens to other companies due to this, that's a different story. What do you think, Krishna?
So I'm hoping that from the WWE's perspective, that it is just a sale, right? In and out. You know what? You sell the company. The way I look at this is, first off, if the company's sold, it's no longer run by Vince McMahon. It's owned by, let's say, Disney, whoever. I'm just throwing names out here, Disney, Amazon, whatever. Then I don't need to hear about Vince McMahon anymore. I really don't need to hear about him anymore. Okay, you might hear the scandals here and there that come out, but he's not associated with wrestling anymore, and I'm okay with that.
Oh, I got a what if for you now, Krishna.
Oh no!
I was listening to Meltzer and Alvarez this morning.
Oh no!
And Meltzer was talking about how he might want control over the deal because the deal that he wants is one that when he makes the deal with whoever buys it, they leave him in control of the product.
Oh no! So then no, I'm against that. I'm 100% against that. You can't make that deal. You can't make that deal, right? If you're now, people are gonna say, people who are listening probably gonna be like, yeah, Christian's right. They can't make the deal because of all Vince McMahon's done. But if you're a business person and you look at what Vince McMahon's done from a business aspect, right? Like, as we've been talking throughout the pandemic, WWE has been posting record-breaking numbers, right? Revenue, because they've been laying off a lot of people. But hey, regardless, they've been posting record revenue. If you're a company that's going to buy this, who doesn't know anything about wrestling, and Vince McMahon says, hey, I'm going to sell you this company for $6 billion. You'll be making record revenue, but you probably need me there for a little bit of time to help you through this process. The company's probably going to say yes, right? And that's not what I want. I'd be like, Triple H is good. We can keep him for now because he's not up with these scandal things. We'll keep him. Vince, just get out. Like, I don't understand how this Vince being back is people kind of like, it's the biggest story right now, right? In the wrestling world. But it's so stupid. I don't understand how this guy was able to come back based on his sexual misconduct stuff that's going on still. Just push himself in, take control. The weird part is people were kind of saying, well, we're surprised it took this long, right? Yeah. Because they just know the person Vince is, right? Now, what does this mean for the rest of the wrestling world? Well, this is big because let's say a sale like this goes over to Amazon or Disney. You're now changing the way that wrestling is presented to the audience, right? So let's theoretically say that Disney buys it. Disney now connects the WWE network to Disney Plus streaming, whatever. It's all available. They can put pay-per-views up on Disney Plus, whatever. They can market it and have like a WWE theme park in Disneyland or whatever, right? Right? Hey,
match made
possible.
In heaven.
It's possible. They were joking about it. What if they had like people filling, like, actors filling in for the wrestlers? So you have some guy walking around as Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that.
I'm just waiting for the Marvel WWE crossover series.
No. Wasn't there one already? No, anyways, I don't know. But this is big because WWE is still the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, bar none, right? Like, yeah, Tony Khan's got a lot of money, but WWE is a bigger company than AEW. So I think the way that whatever decisions that are made on how this product goes forward directly impacts every single company, because now they have to compete with that, right? Because if WWE starts like, let's say, hey, we're not doing only pay-per-view, we can stream here, it's part of like a package. How are the pay-per-view companies going to, like, or how are the other companies going to deal with pay-per-views going forward? Right? Like, can you get would Tony Khan think about getting well, we know how New Japan does it. They just put it up on
I was
the
about to say,
site, right?
Yeah.
Right? But will Tony Khan do the same thing? Right? Will he have like a AEW fight something? Well, no, they do have something. He
already does everywhere except North America.
But why? I don't understand why he's not releasing. Anyways, I'm getting I'm getting too much into AEW right now.
Yeah.
We're getting too much into that. But this wholesale, this entire thing, a lot of people are upset.
Mhm.
Fingers crossed. I am actually hoping it is really just to facilitate the deal, get
Mhm.
his money, and get out. That's what I'm hoping. Best case scenario, that's all it is.
Mhm.
The worst case scenario you just brought up. Okay,
I can
guys,
make it
listen.
worse in a minute.
Guys, listen. Okay. You know me. I'm an AEW stan. All right.
Mhm.
So anytime WWE falls or falters, I laugh. I just laugh. So when I heard about this, I laughed. But then I felt bad because I do have friends who watch WWE. And I know what you guys are going to say listening. Friends don't let friends watch WWE, right? But I unfortunately do because my friends enjoy WWE. And it's like I know right now that their enjoyment of the product has excelled just based on since when Vince left. They've loved the matches, they love the characters. I'm just thinking about what could possibly happen if he takes control, right? Again,
Mhm.
starts destroying characters, starts firing. Hey, maybe part of the deal is we're going to generate more revenue by releasing a whole bunch of people
Of
again,
course.
right? That's never good. You never want someone to lose a job, right? You never do want that. So like you got to remember, like after reading some of these books, like these guys are contractors. They're paying for like and WB is notorious for this. They pay for everything on their
Mhm.
own, basically, right? And they get booked like match by match. So if you're not on TV or getting a lot of matches, even like dark matches, you're not getting paid.
Right.
So
Or you get paid like a base minimum in some
yeah,
of the contracts.
minimum
Like
wage
there's
or
a
whatever it is.
minimum you're gonna make.
Yeah,
It's not even minimum wage. The guys in WWE, the minimum they're gonna make is like a couple $100,000 or more
$100.
dollars.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're making really good money at
Yeah,
WWE. Right.
I just think okay, again, best case scenario, he sells and he's gone. And I don't have to worry about Vince McMahon again.
Mhm.
But if Vince McMahon comes back in, I don't know how to feel about this wrestling landscape. I don't know what he's gonna do, right? Because he's a hothead and I don't know how he's gonna control this. So
You want me to make it worse?
all right, let me hear this.
Okay. There was some discussion on the between Meltzer and Alvarez of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia buying WWE. I mean, in all honesty, again, this is a rumor. This would belong better on Dhanai's dirt sheets because there is no evidence this is really going to happen whatsoever. But could you just imagine the world where the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia owns WWE and places Vince McMahon back in charge because they love him getting The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels out of retirement and trotting them out in Crown Jewel?
Oh, you mean like the crown jewel and the world's greatest Royal Rumble where no, not Brock Lesnar, Goldberg dropped Undertaker on his head and almost killed him. You mean that
Yes. Yeah.
that stuff? Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Um, you know, I thought I thought Vince just being in charge was probably the worst thing that could happen. I never thought about that scenario. Never once did that cross my mind.
Yep. Well,
But
here's the benefit. I
yeah,
think that would trash WWE so much and put their stock so far down that one, someone else would be able to take it over, and
mm,
two, AEW would just
they
it
skyrocket.
would be
Yeah,
a refuge, you know. And
yeah.
if AEW can manage to get the same kind of streaming deal or something like that, be more available, because right now in Canada you have to pay an arm and a leg to watch
Well,
AEW, and it's hard to find.
well, not only that, did you hear that our French TSN is
Mhm.
dropping
Yes.
Rampage?
Yeah.
I was like, what? We barely even get. Is it only Rampage or is it
No, it's the
Dynamite
whole
and
thing.
It's the whole
It's
thing, right?
wrestling. It's all
Yeah.
of AEW. They're
I
just
was
dropping
like,
AEW.
what the heck?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. But anyways, um, yeah. I I just don't want to think about that scenario if that's actually could be potentially real because it just sounds so ridiculous. Kind
Yeah.
of like you know you know how North America and the US especially they have like controls over sales of companies and they will not let things go through.
In
Do you
certain
think
scenarios, it's
yeah,
a lot easier in the US.
yeah, do you think it's possible they would block a sale like that?
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, maybe,
Right?
maybe. And it would be a political decision though, more than
It would have
anything
to. It would
else.
have to. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, listen, we've already discussed it that
Hmm.
Vince McMahon has signed, a deal with the devil, and this is what they do. Like, they don't care. It's all about blood money and everything like that. Like,
Hmm.
whatever. Okay, I'm gonna say that I hope fans are smarter than that, right? So if something like that would happen, it would cause people to be like, no, this is not right.
Have you
But
seen Twitter?
that's what I mean. That's my problem. Like
Exactly.
people still watch it, so I don't know
Yep.
what to say about it, right? Like I still
Hmm.
think people would be like, oh, this is fine,
Yep. Yeah,
whatever. It's
a
not
lot of
affecting
people
me.
do not care about politics
Yeah,
when they watch something, right? And I mean,
yeah,
it's just facts. When people want their entertainment, they want their entertainment. They don't want to think about the politics that are behind it,
yeah,
right? But the thing is when you have alternatives, though, when you're presented with two alternatives, each of which costs you the same amount of money, right? And in this case, amount of time investment, right? I've heard
yep,
people complain, how much wrestling do you expect me to watch? I already watch Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I'm like, well, stop watching those and watch better wrestling, right? It's
yeah,
about time investment. It's, but people will just do it because it's there. What I'm hopeful is if this becomes a terrible product and AEW is more convenient, people can figure out there's good wrestling over there. The thing is, Tony Khan needs to keep AEW being good wrestling.
yeah, and he needs to advertise better because still till today, I have
Mm-hmm.
people asking me, where can I watch AEW?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still getting asked that question. So it's like
Well,
they clearly haven't gotten that word out.
the first thing he needs to do is ditch TSN entirely and just do the Fight Network thing.
Yeah,
Because I
that's
mean,
fair.
streaming is a thing, right? And then try to get a deal between the Fight Network and like some major streaming carrier.
Yeah.
Because if you could attach the fight, and I don't know, I know nothing about this, but if you could attach the Fight Network to say Amazon, you know, Amazon Prime has a couple add-ons that you can
Yep.
pay extra for. Attach the Fight Network to Amazon Prime for a certain amount of money.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That
And then
that
all of
that
a
makes
sudden,
sense.
yeah,
That would warrant my Amazon my
yeah,
Amazon Prime. I would
yeah,
increase it just to watch that stuff. Yeah, no, I agree.
right. If the guys from WrestleNomics listen to our podcast at all, they're probably rolling around screaming at us, going, "What the hell are you guys
Like,
talking
shut up,
about?"
you
But
idiots.
you
You
guys
know what
know
you're
nothing
talking
about
about.
this. It's okay. This is like fantasy booking. We're just having some fun.
Yeah, we're having fun with it. That's it.
Yeah. Do you know what's better though than talking about Vince McMahon and this kind of stuff?
Anything else?
Well, even better.
All
You
right.
want to talk about some more about Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay?
I would love to talk about Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay.
We're going to talk about them a lot this year, I
All right.
suspect.
All right.
We're going to be talking about them now. I may be talking about them some more later in the show, but for now, if you guys wanted some Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, we have some information for you. That match at Wrestle Kingdom this week, I can't believe it was only a few days ago. It feels like it was like so long because I just keep hearing about it and hearing about it, and it was only a few days ago. Blows my mind.
Last
Anyway,
Wednesday. Yeah.
yeah, the match got 6.5 stars from Dave Meltzer. It is the second highest rated match in history, and it now places Will tied for first in all time 5-star or higher matches.
So Will's gonna break the record once he gets his next 5-star match with Kenny Omega again, right?
You are correct. Yes, yes. Will Ospreay will in fact break the record and be the most star decorated wrestler in history.
Yeah, it's amazing. First of all, Meltzer, like, I love your star rating, but man, is it so broken. Like, come on, man. Six and a
Right.
half stars, 7 stars. Yeah, the match last Wednesday,
Mhm.
people, like, it's all over, it's everywhere. Everyone's saying best match I've ever seen, but blah 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 blah. I would go as far as saying, yeah, if someone told me that, I would say I can't disagree with you. Like, that probably could be the greatest wrestling match. But I know everyone has recency bias, so you have to always take a step back and think about matches altogether, right?
Right.
Now, I thought about that match, and I thought about the entire setup, everything that happened, the way that the story unfolded, and just the spots that they had. Remember, I'm a big spot fest guy, but that match with Kenny Omega and Osprey, they did had spots,
Mhm.
but man, did these two just beat each other down. Like, they didn't care. Like, the drop from the top rope when he gave him the DDT,
Mhm.
up until the part where he's smashing his head through the the friggin' table, like, everything. Kenny Omega fought the perfect heel match I've ever seen in my life. Like, this guy didn't do any crazy flips. I didn't see one Kataro crusher. And the reason I brought that up is because the other day I was watching something and the guy did a Kataro crusher. I'm like, wait a minute. He didn't do that once during his match, right? And the
This
match
is
was
correct, sir.
so good. So
Mhm.
all I could say is, like, and even Will, hey, Will was great,
Mhm.
but I know Will can be better than that too.
Oh yeah, they
A-
both can. Well, that was the point, right? Is that
yes,
apparently they're holding
they
back,
held if
you know?
and if they held back, oh my god, like if that was holding back,
Mhm.
what are they going to do for their? And I'm
Oh,
not even saying their next match.
yep.
What are they going to do for their final match next year at the
Yep.
Tokyo Dome?
Well, don't forget too that there was layers to this match that I didn't even catch on to because I am not like the student of wrestling that some
Mhm.
are, right? Like the fact was that um when I called it a V trigger at the end that Omega used, it was actually Kota Ibushi's move, whose
I
name is suddenly escaping me, that he then put him into the V trigger after that
yes,
because Will Ospreay is the one who injured Kota Ibushi,
injured
and
Kota Ibushi.
Ospreay was making callbacks to that too.
Mhm.
Ospreay pulling out AJ Styles moves to try to
Mhm.
beat, and they were using back and forth moves of like previous champs and stuff like that. Like layers to this that I didn't notice when I watched. This is the kind of match you got to go back and watch
Mhm.
again and again
Mhm.
to catch all the. That's how good this match was. There are stories within stories in this match,
Yeah.
right? It's a callback to like all the stuff these guys have been in, etc. I can only imagine where they're going to go next.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. And I mean, this match generated, New Japan subscriptions. What was announced, according, these are the numbers that Meltzer had. There were 92,409 different subscriber logins watching live at the time. And as he pointed out, there's a lot of people who are like sitting around a TV together watching it, right?
Mhm.
So you don't know how many people are in that. About 28,000 people watching in English and 64,000 approximately watching the Japanese feed. It is the most watched event in the history of New Japan world, right? Um, it was just
History.
crazy.
Okay.
These numbers, I mean, look, those are nowhere near AEW
Yeah.
or WWE numbers for pay-per-views. But this is the highest New Japan's ever had. Most people don't even know what New Japan is.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
even wrestling fans who've been around for the Japanese stuff, who cares? Well, for one, it's some of the best wrestling you're ever going to find on the planet. And two, it's becoming slightly better known now, and thanks in large part to Mr. Kenny Omega himself and Mr. Will Ospreay himself by putting on one of the greatest matches of all time. It is, and I'm going to say this clearly, the best match I've ever seen. I cannot think of another, and I have seen hundreds of
Well,
wrestling matches,
that's it,
probably
right?
thousands.
Like I always go back to like the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
In their matches, the steel cage, even the first ladder match we ever saw, those were insane matches. But
Mm-hmm.
there's just something about this match where, again, Will Ospreay does things I've never seen, right?
Right.
And I love how Don Callis and throughout the entire thing commenting, he's just commenting about that. But even in the interview at the ending,
Yeah.
they kept saying, you know, 364 days a year, Will you'll beat me.
Mm-hmm.
On all I need is that one day, right?
Yep.
So it's they're putting this guy. He's already so high, but they're sending him to the moon. Like, honestly, this guy should have the NWJP heavyweight title, right? He should be the New Japan title, right? Like, a heavyweight title holder. Yes, I get it. Okada is awesome, and I'm reading the book. I love Okada as well, and I've always liked Okada.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to have the belt right now, just because of everything with Antonio. Why am I forgetting his name right now?
Inoki.
Inoki. Yes. Obviously his passing and his honoring and everything like that. I get that, but Will Ospreay needs that belt, right? And I don't know how long we wait till we give Ospreay that belt. He needs that belt because
Look,
he's
it's
gonna
going to take
send
some
this.
time.
He's gonna propel this company to like. And I never propel, expand this
Mm-hmm.
company to different markets. Because again, I go back to, like AEW, New Japan needs to get out there, right? Because as I said to my friend who loves WWE, remember the name Will Ospreay, and the first thing he said to me was, "Is he a new up and comer? Should I be watching him?" I was like, "No, he's not." And then he actually googled him, and the first thing that came up
Yeah.
was Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, and he said he saw some clips, and he's like, "Whoa, this." He goes, That's." So I sent him actually a clip of the trios match between the United Empire and the Elite.
Right.
And he said, that exchange, that was amazing. And I said to him, that's nothing.
Yeah,
compared to the match, okay, and compared to what
Yeah.
these guys do on a normal basis.
Mhm.
So New Japan needs to get their names. Yeah, great. They have a like those numbers are great for New Japan, but they're not that great though, right? Like think about it. If we had just same thing about streaming, right? Like I mean, it'd be great for us to like be able to stream like you've subscribed to New Japan. Is it called Strong? What is it called?
New Japan World.
World, right? But like there's a lot of unknowns. Like we know I know a lot more wrestlers than the normal person or the common person in
Mhm.
like North America. But that's because I've watched New Japan and wrestling before. I know some
Mhm.
of these people. I watch AEW. I see the crossovers that happen almost on a weekly basis. All
Mhm.
right. So I'm already there. Like and even me watching Wrestle Kingdom 17, for the most part, I didn't know a lot of people there, right? I knew a few, but I did not know a lot. And I was able to comment with you being like, this person would be great for WWE or this person would be great for AEW. We were able to make those distinctions immediately. But
Yeah.
I just think they need to reach out to a larger audience. And yes, the Japanese audience is huge in Japan, right?
Yep.
Like
Well,
it
New
needs
Japan
to,
has been like the number 2 to 3 company in the world for a very long time.
yeah, yeah.
They're definitely a powerhouse. Part of that is just, and this is why, in our intro we always say the complex world of pro wrestling. All right, this is what we're talking about when we say that. Right, there's a lot of really really good wrestling happening out there that doesn't happen in North America, that doesn't happen in AEW. There's a lot of good wrestling that doesn't happen in WWE. Um, and there are great indies all over North America, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of all those,
Yeah.
right? It's complex. There's this world of pro wrestling out there. And then when you leave North America, now you've got England, you've
Mhm.
got Germany, you've got Japan, you've got Mexico, right? All these hotbeds of professional wrestling, never mind other countries that are into it, right? So in Japan, I mean, they've just got a reputation for great wrestling. But getting into any wrestling, if you're actually going to get into it, is like investing in getting into a long-term story,
Yeah.
right? You got to get to know the characters, you got to get to know their move sets, you got to get to know their finishers, because part of watching a match, of course, is getting to know, like, oh, that guy almost hit his finisher, or that guy
Hmm.
just kicked out of his finisher. If you don't
Yeah.
know it's his finisher, you lose that moment in the
Yeah.
match, right? So it's learning all of that stuff. It's an education process. But I mean, that's part of it. Is you're reminding me, I'm on excursion, I got to try to make these guys more known. you know I've started, and we will only get better from here, right? So I
Fair
think
enough.
I'll be spending a very long time in Japan, because I really want to inspire people to watch more than just Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. I want them to look at a match like Kazuchika Okada and Kazuchika Okada and Shingo Takagi and go, "Hey, that might be really worth checking out. That's going to be some good stuff."
And that's it, right? I mean, like I'm the like spot wrestler fan, so I like the high
Mhm.
spots and stuff like that. Since there are like, as I said, New Japan has a lot of wrestling like that, but there are wrestling that the people who do like WWE, for example, they'll enjoy this wrestling as well. Yeah, you may not know the star's name at the moment, but the wrestling is a lot better, right? And
Mhm.
if you do like your slower wrestling matches, there are wrestling matches that are still like that, right?
Yep.
I mean, even though I may not give them 5 stars, they're right up your alley and they're available. But I think the problem is it's easily accessible to watch WWE,
Mhm.
right? It's so easy to watch. It's
Well,
everywhere at any point,
yeah, that's
right?
true. But I would say the interesting part is New Japan World, and this isn't a plug, they don't pay me.
They do.
It costs you less than $10 a month.
Wait, does it cost you 9.99 like the WWE
It
network?
costs you 999 yen. So take that as you will. And you get access to their entire back catalog. You get access to all of their stuff on English. The only thing you'd have to pay extra for is pay-per-views, but Wrestle Kingdom was not a pay-per-view.
Yeah, which is kind of scary. I don't understand how that was not a pay-per-view, but
Well, there
do
you
okay,
go.
question, do they put up their pay-per-views after the fact? Like they say a couple days later or
No, it's immediate.
oh, it's immediate. So
No,
after,
not for free.
but what if no, but after it's played, do they put it up?
You mean
Or
like to watch on demand if you've paid
yeah.
for it? Well, that's
But no,
how.
if you don't pay for it, like let's say you have New Japan World
Mhm,
and the pay-per-view that's coming up in a couple weeks, let's say you don't pay for that pay-per-view.
Right.
A couple days pass. Do they ever put it up on New Japan World?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll have to check. That's a very good question.
Hmm.
Let me get back to you on
All
that
right.
one. I
All
am not
right.
100% certain. I will go find an old pay-per-view and see if it is now streaming. So
Nice.
I know that in the case of Royal Quest 2, it was just never shown anywhere, and it eventually showed up on the New Japan for free. But I was not able to watch the original Royal Quest, and that was sometime after the fact. So I suspect that if you don't have the pay-per-view rights to it on your account, then you probably can't watch
You
it.
don't watch it. Okay.
So yeah, so there is some stuff like that, and they do have a few pay-per-views a year. But I mean, some of their big events are for free too. Like, look, Wrestle Kingdom was just part of my New Japan World subscription. I paid $10 to watch Wrestle Kingdom and New Year's Dash. Right.
Question for you. Kenny won the belt last week, Wednesday, early morning.
Yep.
Why didn't AEW show anything about that?
That was one of my questions as well. That was actually, you have anticipated my last point on
sorry.
Ospreay. Oh no, don't. That's great. Great segue. Because they never mentioned the match on Dynamite and Rampage. They never mentioned the match on television, even though it was like heavily talked about. And apparently the wrestlers backstage were all raving about it.
Yeah.
And yet the show never mentioned it
They
once.
Didn't acknowledge it, nor did they acknowledge they had a whole thing about FTR not being there. FTR had lost hours earlier. Why didn't the Guns make fun of that?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good question too. It seems very strange that they didn't acknowledge any of that on their television, because if you've got this thing going on, you've got Forbidden Door, wouldn't it be something they'd want to brag about? Kenny just stepped in, beat their big star, and took the US title.
Did they think it was going to take away from the show itself? Like, is that why they didn't announce it?
Possibly. I don't know.
how that would
I
take
have no
away.
idea. It just seems very strange. I mean, maybe they just wanted to plan to address it differently. Maybe they want Kenny to arrive as like the conquering hero or something. Who knows?
With the
right?
belts.
Yeah, exactly. The belt collector himself.
Oh. All right. Okay.
Yep. Well, that is Omega and Ospreay, but it may not surprise you to find out these individuals may make some more appearances on our show today, especially later on when I talk about Japan. But right now, you got anything on the dirt sheet this week, Dhanai?
Yeah, I have something. I do have something.
Okay.
I was watching something yesterday, so I thought I'd bring it up. Rumors. Remember, these are rumors.
Well, it is Dhanai's dirt sheet.
It is my denied dirt sheet. That apparently the reason why FTR has lost all their belts is because they will be starting a trios feud with the Elite after the win. With a okay, I'm trying not to laugh at this. With a returning heel CM Punk. Now they were saying a tricep injury that normally occurs takes approximately 4 to 6 months to heal. Now he tore his tricep back in September. Yeah, September. And it's been we're about the 4-month mark now, where returns can be imminent if need be. What are your thoughts on this report?
Please God, no. Look, I get it. If they could bring him back in a perfect world, they probably would, simply because of the number of eyes. I mean, the amount of publicity AEW would get for that is just off the charts. So yeah, it's if they could, I guess so. What do I think about it? There's been a lot of buzz. And we said way back when, I mean, we were pretty adamant in the beginning that this wasn't a possibility, but time starts to change things. Is it possible that this could be something? Yeah, it is possible. I mean, they're really playing it up on the external channels, right? And sometimes the external channels get used in every wrestling company to build a feud behind the scenes before it becomes a reality, especially in the social media era, build buzz. But right now, it's really just at a rumor.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of people that have fun with this. There is no evidence right now that this is going to happen. I have not heard Meltzer talk about it. I've not heard Sean Rossap talk about this. So even the reputable sources aren't
Mhm.
talking about it yet.
Interesting.
So that leads
Interesting.
me to say, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe they have said something since I last checked, but as of right now, I do not believe they've said anything. And so that also puts it into the realm of really out there rumors.
Okay, perfect. And that's what I think too. I think it's a bit far stretched. I think yeah, it's been 4 months, but I think listen, after what happened, really it's been 2 months since the Elite have been back. Really, right?
Right.
So I don't know if this is actually true. And again, maybe we're all being played. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows at this point, right? But yeah, I heard that and was like, really, I don't know about that. Because then
Mm-hmm.
again, what do you do with the House of Black? Anyways, but
Well, I was about to say that, right? Because of course their next opponent is
it's
going to be
House of
the
Black.
House of Black, right?
Um, while we were watching Wrestle Kingdom, we were making again, as I made a segue into like we're watching Wrestle Kingdom and we're talking about wrestlers who belonged with AEW and WWE.
Mm-hmm.
A report came out of a certain wrestler who actually might be headed to WWE in the form of Hikuleo Bill. Right?
They can have them.
And a comment that we made was he wrestles that type of wrestling. He
Mm-hmm.
plays a good big guy for
Yep.
WWE. He probably be, you know what? He'd probably be better than all their big guys they have, right? He's friends with Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Finn Balor, like all the
Mm-hmm.
Bullet Club members. Do you see Hikuleo, because apparently his contract's up, is from what I was reading. Him, and apparently they're not only going after him, and this is the one that confuses me, Tama Tonga as well. Did he just win a belt? I'm confused right now.
Well, keep in mind, New Japan's probably like, "Whoa, we'll put it on Tamatonga. That makes sense right now." Oh, wait, you're signing with WWE? I didn't hear that Tamatonga's contract was up, but I could 100% see Hikuleo signing with
Hmm.
WWE. One, it's more money. Two, I mean, he's got the look, right? He's got the
Yeah.
size, he's got the wrestling style that fits with WWE perfectly. He can go have that amazing match with Carl Anderson over and over and over every night to the delight of every WWE fan who can't wait to see Carl Anderson versus Hikuleo. They are welcome to Hikuleo. Um, I like him in tag teams, and this is nothing against him. I've seen him have some decent matches. He had a decent okay match in AEW. He's had
Hmm.
decently okay matches in New Japan. He's good as the big guy in a tag team.
Yeah.
Hamatong is a much better wrestler than Hikuleo, even if he can't hit a gun stun. Um, but sorry,
You
he
mean
did hit it.
their back and forth gun stunts they tried to do
Yeah,
it?
that ended in a botch one for the pin. Yeah, I mean, look, I enjoyed that match. I'm not going to go back and say I didn't. It's just the finish
Yeah.
was fun.
It was okay. I mean, hey, we gave credit where credit was due. Carl Anderson put on a good show in that
Oh
match.
yeah.
He really did.
No, I enjoyed that match. I had a good time watching it. Um, yeah, so yeah, I could see Tamatonga going there too. He's got the look. I mean, he won the bodybuilding competition. I'm sure Vince was immediately texting Triple H, going, "Come on, man, you got to get this guy. He won a
100%.
bodybuilding competition."
Last but not least, Bill,
Mm-hmm.
are we being swerved? And I'm not talking about Strickland here. Is Mercedes Monet,
No,
is
it's
she
Monet.
whatever Monet
You have to get it
Monet?
right. Apparently, there was like a thing put out that it's not Mercedes Monet, it's Mercedes Monet.
All right, Mercedes Monet.
It's the worst name ever.
Are we being swerved? Is she showing up as Soraya's partner this
No,
Wednesday?
no. I can say no because Meltzer was talking about this in
All
the
right.
podcast I listened to, and I'm going to go with what Meltzer said here. Look, he's not always right, but I think he's right about this. The reason why they announced Tony Storm as the partner was to head off the crowd shitting all over the match. Because
Mm.
if they had brought out her mystery partner and it was Tony Storm
Mhm.
instead of Mercedes Monet,
Monet?
um, yeah, there would have been boos. The fans would have been upset. They would have crapped all over the match. So this was called saving the match
Saving
from the
grace.
fans.
So, was there anything to Britt saying she is the boss?
It might have just been Britt taking a shot, going, "Yeah, everyone's talking about Mercedes, but I'm actually the boss."
But do you know? Okay, but do you think that by them kind of having that segment where Sheeta's kind of a little bit upset,
Mm-hmm.
rightfully so, that how dare Saraya, maybe it's her head injury. She kind of named Tony Storm the greatest female wrestler there to wrestle with. Like, do you it's almost as if they set that up as if Sheeta's gonna interfere or something like that or do something. And then with Britt saying the whole boss line thing, you're kind of like, wait, is it happening? Isn't it? So as you said, Meltzer said no, right? But as we've talked in past, sometimes the dirt sheet guys do actually get played as well. Now, personally, myself, I don't think she's showing up. Just FYI,
No.
I don't care if she shows up or not. Um, I kind of feel like this match is doomed regardless. But I just yeah, I don't know why. I think AEW made a mistake here. They let it get out of hand before
Mm-hmm.
because this happened. They announced this match like what, a couple months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So the Sasha Banks thing started building up steam, and then nothing happened. So the fans just made the assumption that hey, it's gonna be. So I think this match tomorrow, no, Wednesday, I think the
Mm-hmm.
match actually is going to suffer from this now because I think the fans are expecting that, right? So I think they're going to get booed.
Well, the fans who are expecting it at this point are people who don't pay attention to what happened last week when she
Yeah.
specifically named her partner as Tony Storm. So you're getting Tony Storm and Saraya taking on Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, and that's what you're getting. And that's probably not going to
Mm,
be a terrible match, but I'd
I
rather it
don't
was Britt
know.
Baker
Britt, the
and
Pillar and the Killer were on Rampage this week, and they had a pretty goddamn good match. So I mean, I don't know how that's gonna
and
work.
Hikaru
So
Shida's out getting herself a new tag team partner too. So
go
yep.
Sheeta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really wish she could have gotten um Miko
Oh, from Stardom,
Ito. No, the one who wrestles in Mac.
Maki Ito.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know why I'm bobbling her name. I love her. She's so good. Anyway, so yes, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see any Mercedes
All right.
in AEW. Meltzer mentioned that he's under the impression that I'm sorry, that WWE is under the impression she wouldn't be wrestling for AEW either. But
Oh, okay. Hey, not a bad thing.
no, not a bad thing at all. And hopefully she'll just do a couple dates at some silly Japan shows or something and then fade off into the sunset and Kyrie can go back to defending her belt against people who deserve to fight her.
Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Yep, we are going to see. But that brings us to, speaking of AEW matches, the AEW Roundup. What do you
Cool.
got
So I have
for
a
us?
I have a couple of matches from last week that I think are mentionable. Obviously, these are not matches that were on Dynamite because we did a Dynamite recap last week, so go listen to that. But first off, of course, my note says not AEW Dark; it says R Dark. I guess that auto corrected.
Our Dark.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Dark and Elevation, they're good shows, but I was literally trying to find like a match that I thought was really really good because there was a lot of like I don't want to say garbage on this on it, but there was a lot of matches I'm like, yeah, it's okay. The one match I will highly advise everyone to check out, right, is on AEW Dark, Top Flight versus the Workhorsemen.
Oh,
Now,
that sounds good.
we love Top Flight anyways because they've been getting a huge push and hey, they're awesome. But man, I never really give credit to the Workhorsemen and Anthony Henry in particular. Like JD Drake, yeah, he plays his big guy kind of whatever. Anthony Henry is such a good wrestler. Like I was watching him, he did like this neck twist on Darius, and man, I'm like, wow, they're really attacking this guy everywhere he got hurt, right? But my notes, as I said, Henry is such a great wrestler, like and obviously Drake paying the powerhouse. Darius, since he came back from his injuries, holy crap, this kid's been on fire, right? I put down a note: Top Flight live up to their names. These guys and their friggin' tag moves, my goodness, like I don't even know what they do sometimes, like, and how they do it. No, we make fun of Darius, not Darius, Dante all the time, right? And knows I keep saying Darius, because they really have been pushing everyone to say, hey guys, don't forget about Darius. This guy's really good too. And he really is. Oh my goodness. Like, you know how we were like, oh, Dante is the younger brother, but man, he's so amazing. He's so much better. I don't know anymore. I'm watching Darius, and Darius is just so crisp and clean. I was like, you do look like the older brother. Holy crap. Like, you're just so polished. And listen, I'm a fan. Like, he's been so great. Obviously, like, they're went up against the Workhorsemen. Really good match. If you had a chance, check it out. Like, it's the main event of Dark.
Yep.
Awesome match.
Point. Do you realize this is probably the third time that we've discussed Anthony Henry on this show now?
Yes.
I know.
Yes. He's
Dude's
good.
good.
That's what I said. He's really good.
Yep.
Like, he's a lot better than some of the people on TV. Anyways, let's jump into Rampage. Just a few things before I get into my two matches that I want to talk about. So Preston Vance came out for like a 2-minute squash match or 1-minute match.
Yeah.
Apparently he's going by Pero Pelagroso right now. But it's Pero Pelagroso Preston Vance. It means the dangerous dog.
Yes.
Of what's their faction called? La Faction Ingornable.
La Faction Ingornable. See, now I bobbled it. Ingobernables.
Yeah. But like, I guess his thing is like he's fighting luchadors and ripping their masks off. I'm like, this has been done before, man. Like, we keep doing the same thing. So I'm very curious to find out what
Kevin Nash.
Yeah, exactly. And like, he looks like, I've seen Preston Vance before, and I know he looks like, but I love how they're like his betrayal to -1. And I'm like, so where are we going with this exactly? Like, are we gonna have the Dark Order challenge him? Because it's just a squash match. I guess you're making him big, and the Dark Order have no reference to this at all ever. So
El Perro Peligroso versus -1.
Whenever he runs all squash matches, jeez.
Hey, Kenny fought a 9-year-old girl.
That's Kenny Omega. There's a difference. All right. There's a difference. That being said, I was trying to figure out what the best match on a Rampage was. And it was really hard for me to choose between these two. So I put them both down here. First of all, and I mentioned this earlier about the tag team matches for the women. The Killer and the Pillar versus the Renegades. I'm not sure if you saw this match.
I did not.
This match is awesome. You need to go out. Like, these Renegade twins, this match, hard hitting. As I was trying to figure out, was this match harder hitting than the Danielson and Mox match versus the Top Flight? And this one was just a little bit below. But these women were hitting each other so hard. I was like, what the hell? Right? It was actually my note I put down. The Renegades are better than I expected. They are like, I've seen them on Dark a couple times, but I've always kind of overlooked their matches because I'm like, meh, they're just like, they seem to be just jobbers, right? But they put on a show against Britt and Jamie. Like, Jamie's like, Jamie Hayter is built up to be this powerhouse. They were hitting her like they were like to the point where Jamie Hayter had to tag out for a hot tag to Britt. That's how much they beat her down. Right. It was back and forth, hard hitting. Obviously, Britt and Hayter won. But if you have a chance, check out this match. This is probably one of the better women's tag matches I've seen in a long time. Yep. On, I should say, North American TV. Let's say North American. I don't afford a fan bill here. But
yes, because you don't watch Stardom.
I don't watch Stardom.
In spite of the fact I keep hyping Stardom up, you still don't watch Stardom. The Renegades, by the way, are the number 73 ranked team on the PWI 100 tag teams of this year.
They're good. They're good. Like there may have been like maybe one little like botch here, but it was so good. Like these women, like they were like, even though I was like, holy crap, they're hitting hard. And they had some really great tag team moves. I really like the Britt and Hayter finisher, right? Like how Britt Hayter sets her up for the stomp. Like I really like that one. And yeah, again, after reading the Young Bucks book and realizing how hard these people are actually hitting each other, check it out. Like, that's hard hitting match. But moving from one hard hitting match to the next one on Rampage, the Blackpool Combat Club versus Top Flight. Again, I brought Top Flight up here again. these guys, like, remember when it was Castiglione and Yuta?
Mhm.
Was it Castiglione Yuta versus Top Flight, or was it Mox and
No, it
Castiglione?
was Mox and
Yeah,
Castagnoli.
Mox and Castiglione versus Top Flight. I remember how
Yep.
hard hitting that was.
Yep.
Throw Danielson into that mix,
Yep.
okay? Throw, like, just throw him. And I'm talking like Darius probably took the biggest hits in this friggin' thing, right?
Hmm.
To the point where like they were reversing moves and reversing moves. And again, Top Flight, they're these guys and their tag team like combinations might be some of the best I've ever seen. Ever
Hmm.
seen. Like Young Bucks. These guys are good. I understand why you signed them. These kids are amazing. And
Hmm.
they're getting a push, which I absolutely love. They're getting a
For
push
sure.
here.
They've probably been
Right?
waiting for Darius to get healthy forever, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And that's it. Darius has been taking these crazy shots. I said quick shout out to Danielson and Mox, really putting these kids over,
Hmm.
selling everything. The tag moves insane. Again, I put at the end the kids just got killed. Mox and Dennis got killed. Like literally Danielson. Um, I've never seen a Psycho knee off the like a bouncing off the ropes because Darius sets
Hmm.
him up, bounces Danielson off the ropes, and as Danielson bounces, he hits the Psycho knee. I'm like, I think he just killed Darius and then proceeded to kick his head in or stomp his head in, I should say,
Yeah.
and then put him into the submission hold
Nice.
where Darius was just knocked out.
Yeah.
He couldn't even. I was like, if you want to win, like the crowd was going insane for this match.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, it was in
such a great
Seattle
match.
too, right?
It was in Seattle.
Yeah.
It was such a good match. I was like,
Nice.
I could not believe what I was watching. Yeah, man, like, and they're putting this on. I get it. They're putting on Rampage because they want to draw viewers, but
Hmm.
whew, this was such a great match. Like again,
Nice.
we talk about putting on good shows. Such a good show. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to watch Battle of the Belts,
Hmm.
which occurred recently as well. But no, this match again, Battle of the Belts, Jade Cargill won. Who cares? And of course, I would love to see Orange Cassidy versus
Kip Sabian.
Trent, right?
Oh, was
No,
it
no,
Trent that was
was it
on? I thought
Trent?
it was Kip Sabian was his chat
No,
was
it was
his
Kip
opponent
Sabian.
for
Kip Sabian. You're
Battle of
right.
the
It was
Belts.
Kip Sabian. He
Yeah.
faced Trent last week.
I'm pretty
Yeah, we
sure.
love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but regardless, like after I saw these couple matches, like whew, Rampage was pretty awesome. So
Nice. No, it
yeah,
sounds
that
good.
was
I am going
that.
to have to go back because I was spending a lot of time watching Japanese wrestling this
Oh,
week.
I'm
So
telling you, if you can watch the Hater and Brit match and watch the Blackpool Combat Club match, oh my goodness.
nice.
Oh,
I will do that. Some other tournaments, of course, started this week. On January the 3rd, well, I guess we are now switching to the excursion report. For those of you
mhm.
who didn't realize I had segued, we are now moving over to Japan. And in Stardom right now, we now have the Triangle Derby going on, which is a lot like the other kinds of Japanese tournaments. You've got two blocks, red block, blue block, and the red block teams will each take on the blue block teams once. So they don't fight each other. So they don't fight within their block. They
Okay,
only fight against the other block.
okay,
Yeah. So then it'll be round robin style. Top team from each block will then go on to the finals, and whoever wins it will presumably get a shot at the Artist of Stardom champions, who right now is Prominence. But Prominence is also in the tournament, so which is typical in these things. But there was one match on that show, and look, there were some great matches on this show. I had a good time
mhm.
watching this. These were all trios matches from start to finish, except for the opener, which was just a quick three-way to show off some of their younger talent, some of the sisters who are right now out of school because it's the school break, and some of them will have to go back to high school. That is correct.
High school, jeez.
Yes, they do have some people there who are currently in high school. Anyway, this was Seven Up, who you've got to have heard this name by
I've heard
now.
their
It
name
was
before. Yep.
Nanae Takahashi, you, not you,
Me?
you, and Yuna Mizumori, who is the Pineapple Queen herself. Although she's not really doing the pineapple gimmick when she comes out with Seven Up, so that's kind of toned down here. So it's like the three of them, and they're all quite large. Nanae being the smallest of them, and Nanae is just um she's like the John Moxley of Stardom.
Oh,
Okay, like
okay.
older, just passion, filled with passion, probably thinks wrestling is real, and just does everything she can to draw a match out of her opponent. Right. I love watching her fight. Like she's not going to be your big high flyer or anything, but she's got power moves
Mhm.
and she's got the Japanese strong style down, and she's just so good. Right. And she's in her 40s now, so she's pretty impressive to watch.
Okay.
And they took on Classmates, which is a stars team of Hazuki, Koguma, and Saya Iida. And they're Hazuki's been around a while. Koguma's been around a while. They're both on their second run with Stardom right now. Saeed is a good younger up and comer type. She also plays a super strong Stardom machine under the mask for a joke during some of the rumbles and stuff like that. But the three of them together are really good. I mean, Hazuki and Koguma have been tag team champs together, and Saeed, a good young up and comer. But what a match! The triple teaming in this match was outstanding. I mean, Classmates, the Stars team, had a massive opening, just taking it to Nanae right out of the gate. Like their combo moves, like
Mhm.
first of all, Koguma drawing in Nanae, it was just insane. You would have loved it because Koguma's not like a high flyer, right? She moves fast. She does high speed stuff really well, and she just went all at, like, dodged her, flipped over her, did stuff to it. It was pretty great. And all three members took her down. Koguma, like I said, amazing. Everyone on both teams had a great chance to shine. And it was a pretty quick match. I guess it was probably about 15, 16 minutes long max. And there was a great near fall series at the end where I actually bit on two of them, because in these tournaments, you never know who's going to win. So I like that, right? And Saida had Nanae pinned twice in some really good, like, big triple teams to set it up and stuff. And I was convinced she was getting it. Nanae eventually, I think it was they did this triple team to poor Saya that was just insane. They put her up into a crucifix bomb position, which is like 7-Up's tag team finishing move.
Mhm.
And then Yuna assists with like a power bomb move in the middle and just wiped Saya into the floor. She still kicked out from that, but then Nanae put her away with her finisher, and it was just like a big lariat to her, and it was just done. Poor Saida was wiped into the ground. So, but I'd call this a 4-star match. It was a
Oh wow.
lot of fun, and I wasn't expecting this match to be that good. I
Okay.
really wasn't. I mean, that's why it was surprising. There were some really good matches on this card, but I wanted to highlight this because that Stars team,
Mhm.
wow, I want to see a lot more of them in this tournament. I will look forward to every one of their matches now because that was a lot of fun. So, anyway, that was the first match. The second match. Now, we also know that New Japan put on New Year's Dash the
Mhm.
day after Wrestle Kingdom. And when they do New Year's Dash, when they introduce the matches, they're mysteries. They don't know who's coming out for the matches.
That's insane. That's
Yep.
absolutely
It's
insane.
just complete mystery card. You don't know who's going to fight who. You don't know if it's tag teams, triple teams, singles matches, whatever, right? It could be anything. Well, in one match, right out of the gate, they brought out Taka Michinoku, and he was on the mic, and he forms a new stable at this thing, and it was called, as translated by Chris Charlton, thank you, sir, these four guys. And it was because Suzuki Gun's been broken up,
Mhm.
right? So you got a bunch of guys without stables now. And so Taka Michinoku had Dookie, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. And it was those four guys. And so, Taka Michinoku seems to be their manager, spokesperson. Not sure if he's going to be wrestling with them or not. But anyway, it set up a trios match. And the trios that came out was Catch 2-2, TJP and Francesco Akira, and Will Ospreay. This dude wrestled the day after his 6.5-star match with Kenny Omega, in which he bounced his head off of a post,
Mhm.
had his face put through a table, was bleeding like a stuck pig, and almost retired from wrestling. This match was so much fun. I mean, TJP was TJP. I mean, and you know what really impressed me was the back and forth he had with Yoshinobu Kanemaru, right? I never get a chance to see him wrestle much because I keep seeing him in these multi-man matches. But he had this little catch wrestling back and forth with TJP, which was so good. Like both of them. And I was really impressed with Kanemaru too. But I mean, TJP is like a wrestling genius. So watching him in the ring with him was a lot of fun. Um, Everyone in this match had their moments, of course. It's that style of match, right? But the Ospreay stuff was really interesting. He looked sullen standing on the apron. There was no joy in his face. There was nothing. He just looked like a man who had eaten a bag of like shards of broken glass, swallowed it, and was just hanging out at ringside. And when he got in the ring, he destroyed Kanemaru. I mean, destroyed him. He just started with these forearms to the shoulders, the head, over and over and over in the corner, just beating the guy down obsessively. The ref was trying to pull him. He shoves the ref out of the way, keeps beating him down. It was just like he was at the point of being almost DQ'd, right? They did target Ospreay's head. The way they got him down was they were going after his head, right? Tai Chi targeted his head, And oh yeah, there was a moment too, like before Ospreay even got in the ring, where they were fighting outside, brawling around the outside, and Ospreay was just winging guys into the rails, like winging them back and forth and just trashing dudes, right? So anyway, Dookie actually won with a Sky Day special on Francesco Akira, which sets up actually a feud going forward. See, this day kind of sets up some of the matches that'll come out of this, right? So you've got Dookie and Kanemaru now who can challenge for the junior tag belts against Catch 2-2, so that'll set up a match there. But immediately when the match finished, so Dookie pins Akira, and United Empire just goes right after them. They just wrecked them. Ospreay then confronted Taka Michinoku and then kicked him in the nuts. He just walked up and nails him. And then he walks out. Tai Chi's all pissed off, and Ospreay gets in his face, and he's like, "You want to challenge me? Did you see what I did? You want to step up to greatness?" And then there's like a pull apart fight between them. But Ospreay was just in his face. It was Ospreay at his best. He was just so angry, and it was so good. Ospreay came across as a dangerous, dangerous man, and I would check this match out. Good stuff.
Nice.
Needless to say, the second match that I'm recommending people check out involves the other half of that. We had Jeff Cobb and Aaron Henare representing the United Empire. They came out as a tag team. This was the main event on the New Year's Dash show, of course. And then the music hits. Not Battle Cry, because apparently I'm just never going to get to hear Battle Cry again. But Kenny Omega comes out again to a pretty decent reaction from the Japanese crowd, I would say. A lot of surprise from the announcers, and his eye rather red and black and not looking so good. But he comes out, and his tag team partner is none other than Kazuchika Okada, who just about sounded like the roof was going to go off the place when he came out. So the people were there to see Mr. Okada.
Yeah.
So not surprising. But what a great match to see Omega and Okada work together. I mean, that was the big surprise, was that these guys are working together, and they did this thing at the beginning where they like clinked their belts together in kind of a show of respect, and the crowd to the match just so hot for Okada. Okada ends up getting the pin in this match on Aaron Henare with it was a Rainmaker V trigger combo. So like they set it up where like the Rainmaker hits poor Henare from the front and the V trigger in the back. Yeah. And then he picked him up and Rainmakered him again and then pinned him. And Omega disposed of Jeff Cobb with a Snapdragon.
Jeez.
Yeah. And Jeff Cobb is a big
guy. I was going to say he's a huge guy.
Yeah. He just perfect Snapdragon on him. Right. So Omega, and then what happened? Jeff Cobb got into the face of Kenny right after the match, which looks like it's going to set up his first US title defense, might be against Jeff Cobb in Japan. And then he just left, and that left Okada to say goodnight to the crowd, and he thanked Kenny. But then Shingo Takagi got in the ring, who earlier in the night had won the King of Pro Wrestling belt. And he tells Okada, "Look, I got the required resume. Inoki would take any challenger, anytime, any place. So if you have any fighting spirit, you'll accept." Which, of course, puts Okada on the spot now, right? And Okada's just like, "Look, the IWGP belt, that was above the status of someone who can take any challenges." But he says, "But you got the resume, so you're on." So it looks like his first title defense will be against Shingo Takagi, which is not a bad title defense match at all. I'm looking forward to that one. So I would recommend you check it out, though. Omega and Okada, like the way they work against these two big guys. I mean, Cobb and Henare are big. And very good match. I enjoyed it, and it was great seeing both Ospreay and Okada Ospreay and Okada. It was great seeing Okada too. Ospreay and Omega. In the night after Wrestle Kingdom. So good stuff. One more point: the Wrestle Kingdom Night 2 card has been announced. The card is essentially lining up Pro Wrestling Noah taking on New Japan Pro Wrestling. There was like an altercation backstage at Wrestle Kingdom that set this whole thing up between LIJ and Noah faction. And the main event is going to be Naito versus Keno. And previous matches of the night, all of the LIJ members will be taking on members of Keno's faction. At least I believe they're all members of Keno's faction, but it's setting up quite the night of pro wrestling between New Japan and Noah. So
Yeah,
that could be very interesting.
nice. Okay.
Yep, that one is on pay-per-view though. It is not free. Yes.
So odd. So odd.
Yeah, exactly. Wrestle Kingdom 1, free. Wrestle Kingdom 2, not so much.
Not so much.
But that's okay. Anyway, so that is my excursion report from this week. Those are the matches I would recommend people check out. I will be back, of course, next week with more Stardom because the Triangle Derby will continue.
Very
so
true.
that brings us to, do we even have to do this week? Match of the week and wrestler of the week. I mean, is there absolutely any doubt in anyone's mind what we're gonna pick?
Maybe you might pick another match. Who knows?
Jade Cargill and Red Velvet taking on Sky Blue and Kira Hogan from AEW Dynamite.
Jade winning her 50 or her 49th match, 48th match, whatever it was just recently. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I'm a big Jade Cargill fan.
I know you are.
So Krishna, what was your match of the week?
Well, in all honesty, my match of the week obviously was Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, Wrestle Kingdom 17. You know, Meltzer gave it a 6.5. Like it exceeded everyone's expectations. And yeah, I just don't know how. I don't know how you're gonna be able to top anything like that, like even get close to it. But if there are two people who can do it, it's these two guys.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna ditto you. Okay. Yep. I mean, what other match are you going to pick this week? Seriously,
no one
what human being, unless you are the biggest WWE mark on the planet who refuses to acknowledge wrestling outside of WWE, who is not picking this match?
Hello, Braun Strowman versus Omos. Clearly, like the main match of the century.
God. Oh, yes. Anyway, yep. So yeah, that's to no surprise of anyone, our match of the week. Now, wrestler of the week.
Well, that's the thing. Like I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cheat a bit here, but like the wrestlers of the week is Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. Like you can't give it to one and deny the other one. Like it's both. You know, we always say like all these guys, like both these guys. Right? No, yeah, it's both these guys. Like you can't. Like they put on a show for the ages. Like you could say in the past decade, there's never been a match like this, right? And you'll be 100% right. You can say the last whatever, like since I've ever watched wrestling, I've never seen something like this, right? The fact that other wrestlers are saying the same thing, that's high praise. So and we didn't expect less from these two, and that's the thing, right? So yeah, I don't know how any match will ever top this one, to be honest with you. But these guys are going to figure it out, these two, right? Yep. So we'll see.
Exactly. I mean, if any two guys can do better, it's them. And to no surprise to anybody, they're also my pick of wrestlers of the week this week. There's just no one else you can possibly pick. I mean, as good as a lot of the stuff I saw this week was, as good as, and I mean, if I go to the last week too, if you had not put on Wrestle Kingdom and I was left just with Stardom Dream Queendom as my selection, Suri and Julia would have taken it because their match was so good. But all due respect to two of the best wrestlers on the face of the planet, we're talking Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. So they are not two of the best, they are the best.
And that's it, right? It's like you look at this and you're like, you know, on any other given week, any of the matches that we were talking about could have won match of the week. Those wrestlers could have won wrestlers of the week.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it happened during Wrestle Kingdom, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay.
Exactly.
Right? Unfortunately. So, you know, you guys, all the wrestlers listening, you have up until their next match to get in, right?
Get your stuff in before then. And you know, it is in a way unfortunate because I mean I didn't get a chance in this case to highlight things like, you know, Julian Sherry's match at Dream Queen. If you want to check that out, go back and check out my review from earlier, I guess at the end of the year. I guess I put it up, January 1st. Came up New Year's Day. Yeah. And I mean, if you want to hear all about what we thought of all of Wrestle Kingdom, we have that review up as well. So you can check out all of that too. But to no surprise, there's our match of the week, wrestler of the week. We both agree completely on both. But what else can you do, right?
100%. And Will, and again, as I said, Will is coming back with a vengeance now, and this is the Will Ospreay I want to see, right? And Kenny Omega is going to take all the credit for this. He's the one that's pulling this out of, and it's perfect. It's all just so perfect. And as we said earlier in the show, guys, these guys held back and got 6.5 stars.
Yep. So yeah, we'll have to see what they do next. I look forward to it. But for now, we have reached the end of our show. And as our wrestler of the week, one of the two of them always says, goodbye, everybody, and good night. Bang.
And this one time, Bill, I will say, crowns up.